Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. For a game as majestic as the second one, it's hard to have a successful follow-up. However, number 3 did a fine job. The game used the formula and elements of the previous two while experimenting with a lot of new territory.
In this game, Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong get kidnapped, so Dixie, now the main character, has to rescue them. Wow, this is the second time Donkey's been kidnapped. Maybe Cranky was right all along about him being an inferior game character. Alongside Dixie is her cousin Kiddy Kong. He can bounce on water and throw her farther than she can throw him. He can also be thrown onto broken planks to get to bonus barrels. I've always liked Kiddy because when he dies, he throws this huge bitch fit. It's interesting how not many people minded not playing Donkey in the second game, but a lot of people mind that here. They were probably okay with it in the second game because Diddy's a gnarly dude. Still, you have to admire the risk they took. They took a game from an iconic franchise and didn't have the notable characters. Just like in the second game, Cranky Kong's wife, Wrinkly Kong, is a character. Imagine how Cranky is in bed. Are you wearing a banana, Cranky?
Oh, I hate these things!
The trilogy's animal friends are the same, except for Rambi the Rhino. An elephant that can spit water at enemies replaces him. Rareware took a vacation to Canada for inspiration before creating the game. As a result, there are lots of icy areas and trees. There are hidden bonus areas within the world maps and within the overworld map. These bonus levels are usually memory games where you have to press the right buttons to free the banana birds. Instead of Kong Island being one big island, you're swimming around on different boats trying to get to each area. With the supplies you collect after finishing each world, you can bring them to Potsmoker Kong and he can build you a new boat. Each new boat can either have you sailing over rocks or up waterfalls.
I wish I had a boat that could climb waterfalls. Imagine the waves I'd be surfing with one of those.
The game is very colorful. The sprites look a little more three-dimensional and bulkier. The foreground tends to stick out a little more. In the first level, you have the Paramount Pictures mountain in the background. Water is moving, and so are the clouds. Actually, if you swim in the water during these levels, they'll often push you backwards. On some of the snow levels, the sun goes behind the clouds, so the light changes. However, on a good chunk of the levels, the backgrounds don't really move. They're not nearly as flashy as the ones in the second game, so it doesn't have the same level of detail. I love the music. The music sounds more cartoony and video gamey than the previous games, because they rely more on sound effects and happy moods. My favorite tracks are Frosty Frolics and Nuts and Bolts. Some prefer the redone soundtrack on the Game Boy Advance version, but I don't like it. It just doesn't fit the game like the Super Nintendo soundtrack does. The levels all have different mechanics. You play as animal friends, you hang on levers to dash through doors before they close, play a level where the controls are switched, there's a level with a giant saw. There are these big-eyed flies shooting cheese balls at me. There's a low-gravity level. There's a level where you're supposed to avoid lightning hazards.
There's also a level where you have to climb to the top of a mountain and be an adventurer
by climbing ropes. Some prick pulled a Home Alone 2 and set the rope on fire, so you have to keep climbing up. Just like with the second game, sometimes you have to bash the baddies, collect stars, or find the gold coins. There's this alligator prick who's holding a DK shield because he thinks he's Captain America or something. Well, you're supposed to find a way to ricochet a barrel from behind him and get the DK coin. If you collect them all, you'll have access to Potsmoker Kong's gyrocopter for the end of the game. Swanky's Sideshow is fun to do when you want to collect some coins or waste some time between levels. Occasionally, Cranky will compete against you, and if you win, he'll either chase you out or try to blame his loss on the controls, but expect comedy gold from him like always. You have creative boss battles such as Belcha. You have to throw bugs in his mouth to make him belch himself into a hole. There's a creepy child molesting snowman who giggles questionably when you throw snowballs at him. There's a gnarly Wax Trax looking robot, a giant squid, a big spider with a face that looks like Dr. Robotnik in Yosemite Sam's, and then of course the final battle with Captain Karul. In this battle, the characters finally have dialogue. When you hit Karul, he flies around like a fairy. Fucking idiot. There are different methods of attack just like in the second game. This is why the boss battles of 2 and 3 are superior. Before the longest credits sequence in history rolls, the Kongs are freed and kick Cranky's ass after his usual comments. Of course, the Lost World levels are insanely fun and hard to play. You have to beat them for the second match of Karul and the Kongs. In order to play these levels, you have to give the Brother Bear 85 bear coins. Fortunately, you can use a cheat to get all the coins if you don't feel like finding them all. The Brothers Bear are a group of bears in the game that can help the Kongs between levels. They'll do favors for you by giving you tips on how to unlock the Lost World or what to do on some of the more difficult levels. To do this, you'll often have to help them out by giving one of the other bears gifts or retrieving items for them. It's an intertwined system that will benefit you ultimately because they can lead you to more bonus areas and give you the final birds you need for the secret ending. About these banana birds, there's Queen Banana Bird in the sky. Evidently, Karul put a curse on all the birds and crystallized them in the caves. Meanwhile, the queen is stuck in her trap unless the birds are all free. Once they're free, they can release the queen. In the secret ending, she chases Karul around DK Island and drops an egg on him, while Cranky dances and water skis in the background.
It's a worthy sequel with lots to like. There are lots of ways to be kept busy with the difficult levels and the bonus stages. The Nintendo 64 would have Donkey Kong 64. It's a huge game with great music, even if they focus on collecting items too much. Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze on the Wii and the Wii U would bring the mostly 2D side-scrolling back full force. Maybe the third installment doesn't look quite as nice or sound quite as good as the second game, but it's still fantastic. Now go beat up Cranky Kong. You know you want to.